Hello, my fellow chatterers and book lovers, and anyone else who has popped in because you are curious about what this is or you have got a bit lost. Welcome everyone, I am Chatty and this is my channel, Chatty the Mad Chatter, and I'm going to be chatting away madly about my TBR because it is April, it is a new month, and I do enjoy a monthly TBR. I think it is fun, and I enjoy playing a TBR game to help me with that. So once again, I will be playing my TBR game, Bookladders and Bookworms, to help me decide some of the books I will read this month. But before I get on to playing the game, I've got a lot of books to go through. So I'm going to be sharing buddy reads, readathons, books I haven't got to yet that I should have read last month, and all of those fun things. So I'm going to do all of that stuff before I go on to playing the actual game. And this month it is going to be a tea and taste. So I'm not going to read all of these books. This is not going to be my TBR for the month. It is going to help me decide more of like a mood read, a random wildcard to add to my already planned mixture. Because yet we haven't even made it a third of the way through the month. Are we on a third? Yes, 4 out of 12. Let's do maths. We've just hit a third of the way through. No, a quarter. The end of April, it will be a third. It's going well. But I'm going to keep talking. Yeah, already my planning has kind of crept back up and it's got all out of control. But I want to read these books, so I'm not going to change my plans to then have no plans and put new plans in, because that just seems a bit daft. So I can feel the waffle are brewing. So let's close out this intro with my little gimmick. The camera keeps rolling, I keep talking. It is one continuous shot, meaning I do not have to edit this, which is marvellous because editing takes a long time. So let the chaos commence. Get your tiny teacups ready, or your giant teacups, or any other teacup, or you can do an imaginary one if you want to. Cheers, everybody. Clink, 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 clink. Right, actual massive mug of tea now. This is Eeyore looking after my tea, and he says, kind and thoughtful. I suppose Eeyore is thoughtful in that he thinks gloomy thoughts, but there's just something rather cuddly and lovable about the greatest depressive storybook character out there, so hooray. I definitely need the tea because I already feel that the waffle is at another level, so I think I'm just laying down that vibe for the whole of this video. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you first about the books that I am carrying over. So there was a lot of reading. There was a lot of reading in March. It was great fun, but there were some books that it just wasn't their moment to get to. So I'm going to go through what they are. And because I'm going to be reading them this month because I want to read them. So first of all, I have Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb. This is the second book in the Realm of the Elderlings, which is a very epic, long fantasy series, but it's broken into 5 smaller series within it. And in the first one of those mini series, the trilogy is called The Farseer, and this is the second book in the Farseer trilogy. All of the books I talk about, I will put the Storygraph links in the description box. So if you want to know what the synopsis is, if you want to know more about any particular books, you can just click and go and find that information out for yourself. But I love this series. I'm rereading it for the first time. So I have already read this. I already adore it and I can't wait to keep going with it. But unfortunately, it just didn't happen in March. I could not get to Royal Assassin. So it's happening in April. Another book, which I will be talking again in a moment, that I'm carrying over is When Stars Are Scattered by Omar Mohammed and Victoria Jameson. This is a middle grade graphic novel memoir. And I didn't get to it, well, because I was reading other books, but also because my Mad Much Hair read it. It was one of the books they spoke about at school and he wanted to read it, and he definitely was in the mood for a graphic novel. So I was like, why don't you read this? And he read it in 2 days and really enjoyed it. And finally, I have a very anticipated middle grade book that I opened and I'm so excited to get my hands on. This was published in January. I pre-ordered it. I think it's a debut from the author, and this was the one pre-order I gave myself this year, which is a brand new middle grade I'd never heard of, and that is Inkbound, the Meticulous Jones and the Skull Tattoo by Philippa Leatherly. So this is a middle grade fantasy. So all 3 of those books I will be reading in April because I'm excited to read them. And now have 4 buddy reads to talk to you about. So, the first of these 4 buddy reads is one I've already spoken about, which is When Stars Are Scattered. So, When Stars Are Scattered is the chosen book for March and April from I've written it down, I have notes, haha. Reading the Globe. So this is the YA middle grade Reading the Globe, which is a year-long project that Katia from Pages with Katia is doing to encourage people to read translated fiction. And she is doing this particular read-along with Jack from Spread Book Joy. Both of their channels will be linked in the description box, as will their announcement videos on this, should you wish to join in. There is a Discord that Katia has set up, so you can do some lovely chatting amongst fellow readers about how you feel about the books. I very much enjoyed reading The Forgotten Book in January, February, and I wanted to read When Stars Are Scattered as part of middle grade March, but it didn't happen for me. But I think most people will be reading it in April anyway, because that will be before the book is discussed. So there we go, first buddy read there. The second buddy read is another middle grade, and it is one that myself and a few people on my Discord Middle Grade Mad Chat are working our way through. And it is part of the Middle Grade Readers' Choice Awards 2024 winning 5. So the book that we are reading for April is The Girl Who Kept the Castle by Ryan Groudon. So myself, Tiffany from Towering TBR, Lucia and Stacey, we are all reading The Girl Who Kept the Castle. We're very excited to pick it up. It is a middle grade fantasy, and it just sounds like a huge load of fun, and the cover is very shiny, so I don't know if you can see, but the cover is gorgeous. It is my favourite of the book covers because there's pictures within pictures on it, and I just think it's so beautiful. So yeah, we're going to be chatting along in the Discord about this one. So this is our second of the 4 books that we are all buddy reading in this read along together. I will leave a link to my read-alongs video where I talk about this read-along and the one that I'm going to mention next, should you want more information about them. There will be, as well as chatting in my Discord, there also is a Storygraph read-along as well, if you're someone that doesn't like Discord but would like to join in and wants to chat. The next buddy read I have, which is one I mentioned in the read-along video, is Nevermoor by Jessica Townsend. So Nevermoor, The Trials of Morrigan Crow. If you are a lover of middle grade, if you are a lover of fantasy, you may be aware, and everyone else may not be aware, that Nevermoor was published in a while ago. Basically, we've been waiting for the 4th book for like 3-4 years now. 2017. So this was 2017, and then I think we had 2018, 2019. So yeah, from 2020, 2021, we've been waiting for Silverborn. Hollowpox may have come out later. Anyway, we're waffling. You don't need that amount of detail. The important thing you need to know is we have been waiting for Silverborn, which is the 4th book in the Morrigan Crow series. Because the author Jessica Townsend has had long COVID, and she has been ill, and she has not been able to do justice to Silverborn. So wonderfully, her publishers helped her push the date back until she feels very happy with how Silverborn is looking. So we are very hyped about this. I will also leave a link in the channel for Jessica Townsend's challenge. She has got Jessica Townsend's channel because she has got a booktube channel where she has been doing her own read along in time for the Australian release of Silverborn. So it's a much faster pace than the one we are doing. We are going to be reading 1 book a month to make sure that all of the people around the world who want to get hold of Silverborn can get hold of it, ready to read it all together. So we're going to be starting off with Nevermoor. I'm so excited. I haven't reread them, so I'm really looking forward to rereading Nevermoor and exploring the wonderful whimsy world, the being back with Morrigan Crow and all of the wonderful characters in here. So I'm very, very excited. I talk about this in the video I mentioned. So we'll talk about this read-along and the Middle Grade Readers' Choice Awards. There is also space on my Discord to be chatting about the Nevermoor. We're calling it the Mog-along. So yes, very excited to be doing Mog-along. And I also have a Storygraph buddy read set up as well, should you wish to join in. The final buddy read also nicely links in with the beginning of me talking about readathons. So my final buddy read is one that I'm going to be doing with the lovely Emily from Novel Novels. Oh, I forgot to mention, I'm buddy reading Nevermoor with the previous 3 I mentioned before, plus Julie from Once Upon a Julie is joining us, and so is It's Coming and Phantom of the Pages. I knew it had page in it, but I couldn't remember the full title. Phantom of the Pages. So again, they're going to be joining in with the buddy read on the Discord, and I will link their channels in the description box. Okay, so this book, very change of vibe. We've moved away from middle grade now. This is 8 Lives of a Century-Old Trickster by Myrine Lee. This was longlisted for the Women's Prize last year and is a literary fiction, and it's quite heavy. So the lovely Emily from Novel Novels says she also has a copy of this. She also wants to read it. I'm so pleased because I don't know how easily I'm going to be able to read this. I definitely am going to need someone to be able to get my bookish therapy from and hold my hand whilst we get our way through some dark stuff together. So yes, looking forward to reading this one. And this leads me nicely into talking about the readathons that I will be taking part in. So I said I'm not going to be doing as much readathons this year because I really want to be focusing on my own personal reading goals, because I'm not happy with how many series I have on the go, and I'm not happy with the number of books I have unread on my shelves, and I want to keep buying books, and I have stacks of books everywhere. Everyone has their own what feels comfortable for them, and I know I don't currently feel comfortable with this, so I want to read more of what I have rather than continuously hoarding stuff in because there's no space. What a delightful predicament to be in, but yes, one I want to change. So because of all of that, usually April is massively the month of readathons. And despite me saying I'm not going to be doing the magical readathon this year, I love G from Book Roast's magical readathon. I'm going to take a break from it for this year and enjoy watching other people's content, but I'm not going to be taking part. I've sent Piolas off on a gap year to do something. I'm not sure what he's doing. Probably studying, I don't know. But there are other readathons and I'm going to tell you all about them. So here are the other readathons I will be taking part in. So the first readathon that I originally thought I wasn't going to be able to take part in, but realised I can actually do all the prompts through one of the books I'm already reading this month. So that works beautifully. And this is the Books for Bowel Cancer readathon created by Charlie. If you have not seen this announcement video, you need to see it. 1, really important health messages for everyone. 2, Charlie does such a beautiful job of explaining it to all and gives a very personal story about how bowel cancer has affected her life. I also recommend seeing Emily, who I am buddy reading this book with, who I've already mentioned, her TBR video where she talks about her story as well, because if you do not know who Charlie and Emily are, they are actual real life sisters. I call them the Bronte sisters because Charlotte, Emily, brain thoughts. It is their personal family story, and it's so brave and touching to hear them be so open and honest about it, and their just desire to make sure that no one else suffers like their family have, and that we all look after our health, especially when it comes to talking about poo, because we're rubbish about talking about going for a poo, having a poo. We're fine with wee's okay. In our society, we accept going for a wee. That's all right. If you're going to the toilet, you say going for a wee. No one turns around and says, I'm going for a poo. You just don't talk about it. Just don't mention it. Why would you do that? So it's trying to lower our, inhibitions? Not quite the right vibe. Lower our embarrassment level for health reasons. And all the prompts are related to the 5 signs to look for. So the first one is bleeding from your bottom or blood in your poo. It's very important to go, if you notice any of these signs, to go and see your GP and get checked. It's very easy to do a stool sample. I've done one, too much information possibly, but just letting you know that it's a thing that people do and it's absolutely fine. They give you a little kit, doesn't take long at all. It goes off and it says, yes, you have bowel cancer. No, you don't have bowel cancer. You have this, you don't have this. Very helpful. So highly recommend. So the prompt for that is to read a book with red on the cover. So 8 Lives of a Century-Old Trickster has red, the font is red, and we have a red spine. Win-win. Prompt number 2 is losing weight and you're not sure why. And this is to read a book with 400 pages or fewer. Now I think, given the size of this, it is. Yes, it's fewer than 300. So this is 287 pages, which it feels a lot weightier than to be less than 300. So I'm not sure why. I would have said this was easily 350, but there we go. Looks are deceiving. This is less than 300 pages. But as long as you read a book that's less than 400 pages, that will work. Prompt number 3, sign number 3, is a change in how often you poo. So this could be, you might be going more regularly, it might be more like diarrhea, or you might be more constipated and be not going as regular as you usually do. Again, go see the GP. This is either a different genre to what you usually read or a different format. So if you generally read print and you want to try an audio, do that. Or if you generally read a lot of genre fiction, like you love mysteries or romances, read something that's not one of those. I don't read a lot of literary fiction. It's not my usual thing. I usually read fantasy. So I'm going to read some literary fiction, which is what 8 Lives of a Century-Old Trickster is. Prompt number 4 is more feeling tired all the time and not sure why, and that is a self-care prompt. So go and do something nice for yourself. Not sure what I'm going to do yet, but how lovely to be told to go look after yourself. Prompt number 5, sign number 5, is a pain or lump in your tummy. And this is a book you've been avoiding. As I've mentioned, I think this sounds really intriguing, the premise. So it's about someone that goes, a journalist who goes to interview this woman, and she tells these stories and you're like, did this actually happen to you? And she's just had many, many, many different jobs, different roles in her life. She's in this old people's home, and so they're talking about all the different things that she did in her life. And there are some quite uncomfortable subjects in here. There are some quite uncomfortable things that happened in her life. So I feel that it's going to be a bit upsetting, and it's going to be a bit heavy, and it's going to be a little bit of need the right brain space to read this. So it is one I have been putting off. I received this through Shelterbox, which is a book subscription that I am part of, and you pay a certain amount to be part of this book club, and they send you a book out every 6 weeks, and you can add more to it, and then the money from it goes to support the charity Shelter. There we go. Readathon number 1. Readathon number 2 is the Picture This Readathon that is done by Jack from Spread Bookjoy and Shelley from Shelley Swearington. I really enjoy their Picture This Readathons, and I am going to be doing, I'm not going to be going through like which books I'm reading. I am going to be doing a sort of a little vloggy type thing where I'm just going to take a day and I'm just going to read through these picture books and talk about what I thought of these picture books. So I'm going to be going through what my TBR is, what the prompts are all for, and what I think of the book and how I enjoyed it. So I really love picture books, and the highlight of this readathon is that adults can read picture books too, and just sharing the love of picture books. And one of the people that really enjoyed picture books and was a big supporter of this readathon was Alice. Alice is an incredibly close friend to many people on BookTube, but particularly Jack. So Shelley and Jack have linked all of the prompts to honour Alice in her memory. The final readathon I'm going to talk about is one that is my focus readathon for this month. This will be my 3rd year of taking part in it, and it is the Transgirl April Readathon that has been created by Kevvie from the channel Say Kevvie. I am linking Kevvie's 2023 and 2024 announcement videos for this because due to different life things, Kevvie is not in the right space right now to be running the readathon, but I still want to take part because I think it's such a great readathon. So Transgirl April is Kevvie's play on the idea of Hot Girl Summer. So it is not just about trans women, it also includes trans men, non-binary people, and any kind of gender fluid, gender non-conformist, identifying people out there. So one of the books that I will be reading for this is Gender Pioneers. So this is a celebration of transgender, non-binary and intersex icons, and this is by Philippa Punchard. Oh, and she's also an artist. So I think she did the illustrations as well, because each page pictures a different trans icon and a picture of them. So I want to be reading sort of like maybe one a day and kind of finding out more about these gender pioneers. I then have 3 books because what I like to do, I have like 3 books that I focus on, and then I might read more if I get to them. If not, it will probably kind of then filter down throughout the rest of the year. So I like to read a book by a non-binary author, a book by an author who is a trans woman, and a book by an author who is a trans man. I also across that like to read a fiction book, a memoir, and something that's more of like a theory, like essay collection, like historical text. So more of a non-fiction that's not a memoir, basically. So what I have for this year are my fiction book is Pet by Akwaeke Emeze. Because I don't understand how I haven't read this yet. I've been so excited. And I think because of it, it's one of those ones that I'm putting off for that perfect reading moment. So I need to push myself just to pick Pet up and read it. It's a very small book. It's a YA fantasy. And it is by Akwaeke Emeze. And I have not read an Akwaeke Emeze book. I think a lot of Akwaeke Emeze books, the premise doesn't sound like they're going to be me books. I think they're going to be too like heavy and literary for me. Or there is the you made a fool of death with your beauty, but I don't, the premise of it makes me just feel like I'm going to feel awkward and worried about the characters in it because of life choices they make. So I don't know if that's going to be a fun time, even though I hear everyone say how amazing their books are. But Pet, I feel, is going to definitely be a me book. So if there is going to be an Akwaeke Emeze book out there for me, it is going to be Pet. So I'm very excited to read Pet. So that's my non-binary author. My essay type of book is What's the Tea by Juno Dawson. So this is more of like a self-help book, like an introduction to trans people. It is a YA. And I'm just going to read you the blurb so you get an idea. Also, I love Juno Dawson. I think she's amazing. Behind my head are Her Majesty's Royal Coven, which is one of my favourite series. She's also really, really funny. And I took this book when I saw her and got her to sign it for me. So it says, To Tatty Juno from Juno Dawson. Okay, so What's the Tea is your no-nonsense guide to all things trans and or non-binary. I don't know why you've picked this book up. Maybe it was on a nice pride display. Maybe you have a trans friend or family member. Or maybe you have some questions about your gender. Navigating the maze of rumours about transgender people can be bewildering, but never fear. Best-selling YA author and former PHSE teacher, that's like physical sexual health education, I think. Anyway, it's that like chatty one where you learn about drugs, alcohol and sex education. That one. Is here to serve up a delicious cup of jargon-free, myth-busting tea. That's truth, in case you were wondering. From identity and expression to coming out and dating, Juno will guide you through the modern transgender experience. This frank and funny handbook will help you to live your best life true to who you are. And it features a few other trans authors in here as well, with little like extracts from them. I love Juno Dawson's writing. My first Juno Dawson was This Book is Gay, and last year I read it was basically Juno Dawson's memoir. Gender expression, I can't remember what it is, but I'll put it in the description box. And I just find her writing style like really easy to read, really funny, really chatty. So again, I think this is a good book to kind of like start with the basics. I read What's the Tea? I read The Tea in LGBT by Jamie Lane, which I think is another great book to start with if you're just wanting to find out more about what it means to be trans. So I like to keep reading these books because I feel like the more I read from other people, the more things are gonna go in my head, and then I'm able to talk about it with people should people want to. So yeah, it's something I'm really invested in, really interested in, and I want to kind of know more about. And finally, my memoir is Not Just a Tomboy, a trans masculine memoir by Caspar J. Baldwin. So this book was published in 2019 and Caspar was born in 1989. So, and I definitely think there was very little about what it means to be transgender then growing up, and so it'd be interesting to read about another life. I also really enjoyed the title, like Not Just a Tomboy. It's very kind of clear that, you know, being trans isn't gender expression. It's a very different thing. So I'm really looking forward to hearing Caspar's take on it. Take sounds such a weird thing to say. Caspar's experience and what it means to Caspar, because everyone's different and everyone's journey is different. So this is my TBR for Transgirl April. I do have some graphics that I have put up on, I will put them up in my posts. Yes, posts. But Kevvie also has a Discord. So if you go onto one of the announcement videos that I link, you will see Kevvie's Discord. And you can click in that and you can like chat, you can come and chat to people in there as well if you want to be involved. Okay, that's everything. So far, this is what my April TBR looks like. Ta-da! And we haven't even played the game. So that is 9 books. So realistically, I probably can't squeeze in a 10th one, but I want to because I just like to have something random on there that I haven't thought about reading. So we're gonna play the game and we're just gonna go with it. So lovely people, if you have been here before, you will know the rules and can feel free to skip ahead. Or if you're someone that enjoys just not knowing rules and just seeing what happens, sure, skip ahead. But if you're someone that would like rules and want to hear how the game is played, let me explain it to you. It is essentially Snakes and Ladders, but because we're on BookTube, it is Bookladders and Bookworms. So you go up the ladders, so you see the thicker ends here. That is where you would start and you would then go up. Here we go, up all these ladders. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. And you go down the worms. Woo! And the worms have slightly dodgy prompts and the ladders have more free prompts. And everything else is a colour. So we have 4 colours. We have pink, blue, yellow and green. To start off the game, I always start in the centre here on the floor level. And I can choose which direction I go in. I can choose where to come out. So I can come out at any one of these. And then I move along the tiles around this square using just the 1 dice until I hit a worm or a ladder, and then I move on to the first shelf. And you can see here the books continue to be colour coordinated in blue, pink, yellow and green. These 4 colours are aligned to different prompts, so I do different things depending which one I land on. And once I get onto the second shelf, I then use 2 dice to get around the board. There is no end or starting point, it is just something to generate prompts for me to use to choose books. So if I land on a ladder, I get to pick out a lucky ladder card. And these cards are ones that are very open-ended prompts, so I get a lot more freedom to choose which book I want to read. If I land on a worrying worm, I get a worrying worm card. And these ones are a lot more specific and prescriptive. So I have to search a bit more. I get less choice over what I read with those. I then have prompt cards which are sort of in the middle, and I will move on to those in just a moment. So we're now going to welcome back everyone who already knows the rules, because each month I change what the 4 different colours mean. So this time I have no Feagle or One Ring in the cards. It's just 3 regular cards, and I am not going to be doing a We're All Mad Here card if I get 2 or more of the same colour. I'm just either going to do that colour again, or I'm just going to move on to the square after it. So the 4 colours this month are, putting this board up and down quite a lot. Blue is a Can You Picture This, which is inspired by the Picture This readathon. So I will grab one of these books, which will generate one of the 6 prompts for the Picture This readathon. But instead of applying it to a picture book, I will apply it to an adult YA or middle grade book. And the prompts are blue, cat, mystery, Alice, dark, or giant. The pink prompt is my TBR tin. If I land on that, then I will pull out 2 veteran books and 2 new books that are in the TBR tin and decide which of those 4 I feel like putting in to my pile of possibilities. Green is roll away. That's where these prompt cards come back in. So I will pick 6 of these prompt cards. They are not as difficult as the Worrying Worms, and they are not as footloose and fancy free as the Lucky Ladders. And I just like to lay 6 of them out, because then I'm like, well, I want that one, but I don't want that one, and then see what the dice gives me. And finally, we have the Gender Pioneering Pickup. And that means I'm going to flick through the Gender Pioneering book like this and just let it stop on a page. Or I will just flick through and then just put my hand in, and whatever that picture is, whatever I'm given by that picture and by the pioneer, I will then from that be inspired to choose a book that makes me think of that picture or that person. There we go. That is our prompt for April's TBR game. So let's do the first roll. And the first roll is a 1. Simple enough. First roll is a 1. And I'm going to come out here on the yellow, because I want to do my Gender Pioneering prompt pickup. So we're going to do that. Okay, my eyes are closed. I'm just going to flick through the book, and I'm going to stop here. So this is, okay. So this is Colonel Victor Barker from 1895 to 1960. So I'm just going to have a little read. So the picture here is, I think it's very sort of dark in colour. We've got like just a tone of that sort of brownie. So it's like black, brown, it's sort of sepia. There's the word I wanted. So we've got sepia toned colours. So it's just like black, brown, white, and a grey brown. It's not fully grey. And it looks like sort of pencil strokes, and I don't know what that is behind that, or maybe oils. I really don't know. I'm not arty at all. So we have the picture of Colonel Victor here, and I'm going to read a little bit about him and why he is in this book as a gender pioneer, and that is going to help me pick my sort of like give me a vibe of what sort of book to pick. So despite the dark colours in the picture, it sounds like Victor had a very colourful life. Some choices. He drove an ambulance during World War One. Has had two marriages. One we're not given any detail about. Said to have had 2 children, and then married Elfrida, who he concealed his physical appearance through war injuries, but then deserted her for, it doesn't say why, joined a fascist joined a fascist movement against communism, owned a restaurant that went bankrupt. He went to jail, where he was put in a women's prison, and then his marriage was judged illegal, and then it talks about him being in a sideshow in Blackpool called the Mass Observation Project, and basically that it's almost like they were life models that people instead of like waxworks, like you were the model, and it was called On a Strange Honeymoon, Love Calling. So there was himself and a woman who was the bride, and people would just go and look at them and shout down things at them, and they were observed for like 21 days. So very, very interesting life. And I do like that Philippa Punchard has just thrown in a variety of different people into Gender Pioneers, to show that trans people come from all walks of life with all sorts of ideologies, backgrounds, all sorts of different things, because trans people are just as human as any other person. I am going to have a think now about how I relate all of that to a book. So varied life, I think, is definitely one we'll go down. Varied life under appearances. I mean, he's pictured there as someone who seems very calm and regimental, and there's lots of medals in the picture that he's wearing. But his life sounds incredibly varied. So I'm now going to think about what books that might make me think of. The word that keeps coming back to me is varied. His life is just incredibly varied. Ambulance driving, restaurant owning, being in jail, sideshow feature. So varied is kind of what I've went with from his life. So I've gone for a book that I think again gives me that idea of being incredibly varied, and that is the third book in the 5-world graphic novel series, The Red Maze. So I've gone for varied. This feels very varied because they are exploring 5 different worlds, and each world has got different a different culture, a different kind of climate and lifestyle, and the 3 characters of this book are all very, very varied, and we find out different stuff about them. There's much more past and history that kind of comes through, and also in terms of like what they thought about the plot and things that they were fighting for, all of that changes. So a lot of variety in 5 worlds, just as in Victor's life. Let's do roll number 2. Okay, roll number 2, still the 1 dice, and it's a 6. Now I can be a bit sneaky, because I've just come out of the centre circle onto one of these 4 spaces. I haven't actually chosen a direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 gives me pink, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's pink. It's pink both ways. So pink is the TBR tin. So I'm going to choose. So it doesn't sound like there's a lot in here, but there is. I'm going to choose 2 veterans and 2 new books. So veterans are purple, new books are green. It's going to smoosh them up a little bit. Okay, fingers are going in. I don't even know which one it's going to be. So we've got 1 green. Okay. And I'm going to pull out another one, and that one is a purple. Okay. So the green is Miss Mary Kate Martin's Guide to Monsters, which is a middle grade book. And the purple is The Lamplighters, which is a thriller. Sorry, not a thriller, a mystery. So The Lamplighters by Emma Stonex is a mystery inspired by real events about a lighthouse where 3 keepers vanished in Cornwall in 1972. I have had this on my shelf since 2021, I think. I have the hardback. It has the Waterstone sprayed edges. I think I bought it because we were possibly going to read it for a book club, and I was really excited to read it. I really love the vivid colours on it. We've got inky purple, we've got bright red, sort of like coral, and the symbol of the lighthouse, and we've got a sort of dark swirls as well with black, and it kind of looks a little bit like the sea and the sky sort of swirling together, and then you've got this like gold foiling from the lamp kind of coming across. So I'd be very keen to read this one. I really haven't read it, just because it just hasn't felt like it's time. So this would definitely give me a push. So that's the veteran, and the new one is Miss Mary Kate's Martin's Guide to Monsters, which is a series, and there is a second book out in that series. This is by Karen Foxley, and this particular book is The Wrath of the Wollington Worm. So it's a middle grade, and I think it's got a lot of heart and feels very warm, and I just like the idea of this girl going around and kind of looking for these historical monsters, because the tagline really intrigues me. So it's, there are those that hunt monsters to harm them, and there are those that hunt monsters to help them. Which are you? And I love it when you kind of have that opposite thing that we kind of love a lot more now, where things that we think are supposedly monsters turn out not to actually be monsters. So either of these I'd be very excited to read, and I can't choose. So what I'm going to do, instead of picking 4 out and choosing 1, I'm just going to put both these options on my pile of possibilities. Roll number 3. Okay, still on the 1 dice. We have 4. So again, I haven't chosen a direction because I could have gone either. 1, 2, 3, 4 gives me a ladder, which I'm currently liking. And 1, 2, 3, 4 gives me blue. I do want to do the blue prompt, but would it just be more fun to do the ladder and move on to the first shelf? I'm going to do that. Let's do the ladder and move on to the first shelf. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up we go. We have made it to the first shelf. So I will be picking one of my lucky ladder cards. So do a little bit of shuffling, shuffly, and I will pick this one, and it is, what is your most anticipated book? I do actually know what my most anticipated book is, so I'll just go and get it. So this book, I was happily hoarding a lovely book voucher that my mum had bought for me for Christmas, and then I finished one book. I was like, oh, I know what I need, and I decided it was time to spend my voucher on The River of Silver by S.A. Chakraborty. Although she's got a Shannon Chakraborty on this. This is the collection of short stories that come that are either pre-equals or come after the David trilogy, which I just finished reading and absolutely loved. It was an amazing fantasy trilogy. It was so wonderful, and I was like, I need The River of Silver. I need to read those other tales about this world and these characters. So this is a book I am most anticipating reading. So there we go. That was nice and easy. The final roll now. Here we go. The final roll. We get to use 2 dice. I'm going to do one at a time because I don't have hands big enough to roll these in one go. 1 is 2. And the second one is on its corner. So let's roll again. 4. So that is 6. So I did actually choose a clockwise direction to get up that ladder. So we're going to continue clockwise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it is another lucky ladder, but I've just done a lucky ladder. So let's move to the next one, which is green. Which means my final prompt for this pile of possibilities is roll away, which is where I pull out 6 prompt cards and roll a dice to choose which prompt card I will be needing to pick a book from. So we're going to do some more shufflies, and then I shall select the top 6. Right, first one is author or title with the letter. I shall then select a letter from a bag of letters. This kind of did me dirty last time. This one, I really struggled, but it was Worrying Worm, and it was very specifically the title of book that had to begin with a specific letter, whereas this is author or title, so I get more wiggle room. So that's okay. I'm fine with that one. So this is prompt number 1. We then have upside down. A new book acquired or published. Okay. That's prompt number 2. Well, obviously there's new books I acquire because I've already pulled them out. So that could work. Number 3 is a book with an animal companion. My thoughts do immediately go to middle grade, but that doesn't necessarily have to be the case because there are plenty of adult books that also will have like a trusty dog or horse, I imagine, within them. And prompt number 4 is going to be a mouth length book. So anything that is less between 150 and 300 pages. Tiny, tiny, tiny book. Again, there are different possibilities I have. The 5th one is, upside down, a well-loved author. So an author where I already love their work. Nice. And finally, so it says colour can appear anywhere on the book. So this is where I would just randomly pick a pen out of a box of pens or whatever colour that is. I would then need to find a book with that colour on it somewhere. Okay, let's roll the dice and see which one it is going to be. And boringly, I really don't mind. I suppose apart from number 1 and 6, I have to go and get stuff. So it'd be nice if it was one of the other ones so I don't need to go and get anything. So let's see what we get. Throw it up high and it is a 5, which I cannot remember what it was. So 5 was the prompt well-loved author. So do I have a book that I want to read that's by an author that I already love? I'll go and have a look and see what I can find. So I have 2 options for this one. The first is one that I've recently hauled from under my bed, and it's a very sensible choice. It's a short book, and it's different to kind of the ones. So I'm looking at what I currently have as options here. So I've got a couple of middle grade, 1 fantasy, 1 sci-fi, adult fantasy short story collection, and a sort of historical mystery. So this book would definitely kind of give it a different vibe, and that is The Black God's Drums, which is some Afrofuturism by one of the authors I really love, P. Djeli Clark. So I have read 2 other books by P. Djeli Clark and really, really enjoy his work. So this would definitely work. Then I remembered there is a book that I kind of really do want to read this month, and it's by an author that I love in a different way, in that I personally would say it has to be a well-loved author, as in I have to have loved more than 1 book by them. But I met this author in person and I just think they're awesome. So I loved the book they wrote, but I also love them as a person because they're just so cool and they were just so lovely and really fun to see in the author interview and really fun to chat with. And that is C.L. Clark, all about the Clarks. And it's The Faithless, which is the 2nd book in the Magic of the Lost. So I loved The Unbroken. I thought it was brilliant. I loved the exploration of colonisation within that, and I love terrain. So I'm keen to go and find terrain again and see what she's got up to. And also it fits in perfectly for Transgirl April because C.L. Clark is a non-binary author. And this book has been signed somewhere. It was, there we go. It says, "To Chatty, will you give or will you take?" from C.L. Clark. So there we go. That's my final pile of possibility books. And I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to look at them and go, I read them all now. But that would be very foolish and highly unachievable. And I'm not going to manage to do it, along with the 9 that I've already got on my list. So just a little recap. We have The Red Maze, which is book 3 in the 5 Worlds middle grade graphic novel sci-fantasy series by Mark Siegel. Hold on. By Mark Siegel, Alexis Siegel, Xanthe Boma, Matt Rockefeller, and Boya Sun. I then have The Lamplighters by Emma Stonex and Mary Kate Martin's Guide to Monsters, The Wrath of the Wollington Worm by Karen Fox Lee. I have The River of Silver by Shannon Chakraborty, and I have The Faithless by C.L. Clarke. So we'll find out what I read. We'll find out what mood I'm in when I feel there's a space amongst the other 9 books. So I'm very excited about reading all of these books. Please let me know if you have any thoughts or feelings on any of the ones I've mentioned, or what book you are particularly excited about reading this month. You know I love a chat, so please get chatty in the comments. And if you don't know what to say, then just give me a what could we do? The readathon I'm most focused on is Transgirl April, so give me a trans flag. Happy reading, everyone.